Hey everyone, so today we're looking at 15 one tricks you should probably be pretty afraid of. These are the ones that can really hard carry a game when they know what they're doing on the champ. And yes, I did think of this after getting battered by Evelynn mains all the time, but this isn't just my opinion. I had a look at a lot of different stats to see who also has just the highest win rates when you played a lot of games on them. This video should also be pretty good if you're looking for a new champion to learn properly. Like if you're looking for one that can really carry once you're good at them, these are some of the best. Let's just kick it off with Evelynn, the reason for the video, right? And honestly though, one of the champions that you should be the most afraid of. The most banned jungler for a very long time, I believe, but still one of the highest win rates on average. And if you look at the players as well, like a lot of people have 60+% win rates on Evelynn, even though they're just like regular players and all their other junglers are pretty bad. You're going to be getting more kills than almost any other jungler. You're also top 5 for damage dealt across the game on average, but it's very fast. Like it's all burst. Her combo has a tiny amount of counterplay. The charm can be procced from any damage and you will be dead by the time you're out of it if you don't have a QSS. Her ultimate is a really big part, like since the rework really. It allows her to make plays, assassinate, and also stay safe. And all of those are really ways that you can show your skill and experience a little bit. To be fair, it's also just like a good Evelynn main will force you to play differently. They'll gank at like random times. There'll be places you don't expect. You'll never see them coming, and she'll be waiting in the most random places to kill you. Kled is one that I bet you wouldn't expect to see, but his win rate with experience is so high. It's actually ridiculous. They always seem to take over the game when I see them in my games. They win their lane phase, they run around with their ultimate, and they just kind of 1v9 really. Watching them is ridiculous as well. They jump into fights where I'm like, what are you doing? And then they kill everybody, and I'm like, okay, well, good job then, I guess. I think that's like knowing your damage properly, playing around the mount system as well, and that is something that gives a Kled one trick like a massive advantage in any fight. Because if you think about it, you only really learn that when you play Kled, and not many people do. When played properly, you can take a real beating with basically a double health bar, honestly, and then Guardian Angel on top of that if you get it, while dishing out crazy damage and actually carrying the game. So it's kind of like a frontline that just mows through everybody. Draven, I don't think I really need to explain for this one too much. Draven mains seem to pull damage out of their ass and just do way more than you expect. They're so aggressive, they're not going to let you farm, they don't let you breathe, and almost always they get a lead bot lane or they come out at least strong. Their passive also means that if they do get ahead, right, they can keep pushing further and further throughout the game and keep doing more and more damage, like way more than anybody can handle. The scary part is that one mistake really can cost you the game, or at least make it very hard, and sometimes it's not even about you being that bad or anything like that. It's just they are that good. They know their damage that well. I don't think it's that uncommon for a good one trick to get a lead in any lane because they understand their champion just so well, but Draven is probably one of the worst champions ever to lose lane to. Talon may not be that popular anymore, but he actually has one of, if not the best win rate on people who are more experienced with a champion. The first thing is you're an amazing roamer, probably the best in the game really. You don't have to go through the river, you can go through their jungle, you can go through your own jungle, and I guess the point is you can get there faster than anybody else, but you can also get there ways that nobody else can. Once you're actually in a fight, you also have a lot of AoE damage, so it's a bit different to like a Zed, for example, where it's mostly single target. Talon still blows up that one person, but he's going to be affecting everybody around at the same time. The final reason you really want to be afraid of a Talon main is because nowhere on the map is ever going to be safe, like throughout the entire game. You can be under your tower, he'll hop over the wall and kill you. You can be running through your jungle from base and he'll hop over a wall and kill you. Like he'll be where you don't expect, where no other champion can get, and you're never going to be able to chase him down either. Charcot is following a very similar idea as that. Like he will hit a point where he can just straight up burst you. You used to be afraid of Charcot most in the first 15 minutes of a game, right? Perma-ganking and messing you up and setting you behind. It was really frustrating. That still happens, but you used to be able to kind of just like outlast him a little bit, but now it's more about what he can actually do afterwards later into the game with a lead that is so scary. He is designed to one-shot you now, really. He can go invisible, obviously, when he's doing it, so there isn't much that you can do about that. All his damage is really geared into the backstab. If that's not working, and you can't do that, he can just split push. You can't catch him ever. He can jump away. He nukes towers very quickly with his clone as well. And split push is all about knowledge. So it's a natural advantage if the Charcot player knows what he's doing. You probably don't know as well as him how to stop it. Breaking into our next 5, Nidalee is one of the harder champions to get to grips with anyway in the first place, so it kind of does make sense that once you've learnt her, you become really strong. Not many champions can rival her early damage, her early game power. Spears massively chunk you out, but you have that burst to follow up as well. Nidalee can be so active on the map, and this is the main part. You perma-gank while somehow still managing to have the best farm in the game, which leads to a really big item lead and you dying a lot. She doesn't scale as well as other junglers or other champions in this video, but good Nidalee players will find ways to make that work and still be useful. useful, whether through a few snipes or execution or even just building Athene. The thing is, like, you should be scared because if they're good, and they will be as a one trick normally, you won't get to play lane phase normally, like how it should be played. It'll be 3v2 and she'll be there all the time killing you, or she'll be crapping on the rest of the map and the rest of your team instead. So Irelia is ridiculous. I actually want to ban this champion all the time right now, but even stronger actually once you've learnt her damage just a little bit more. You can win your lane if you trade smartly. You have a lot of ways to do it, and you can punish mistakes big time. If they overstep, you have a stun and you can jump to them. The part about being like extremely mobile, jumping around, it means you just can't be focused very easily at all. It's kind of like a Yasuo. You can dance around, not quite the same, I know, but you can dance around and you can jump back in when your cooldowns are back up. You have a stupid amount of damage with the mark system over time, and your passive damage once fully stacked is actually crazy now. Like, a lot of people don't realize once that is stacked, Irelia is really dangerous. If that stuff wasn't enough, you have way more utility than a normal champion to use as well. Like damage reduction, you have a big ultimate, right, that you can hit the entire team with. A disarm with that, a team-wide stun potentially. There are a lot of different parts within her kit moving at the same time. If you put them all together, it's actually insane. Katarina is one of my personal most hated champions, honestly. She always finds a way to get fed, like always. It doesn't matter. Shut her down or don't. One bad fight and that's going to be it. Her damage is very high anyway, but it's also AoE. It's going to hit everybody, so she can demolish your entire team in a split second. It's not just one person. Her roaming is pretty decent, but it's just kind of so hard to stop her in solo queue when she has an item lead. Like, you know what she's going to do, you just can't really stop her from doing it. The main reason you want to be afraid is because you know at any moment, like one mistake, whether you're ahead or behind, and she could pop off and just ruin your team completely. Because she scales with items so well, because she is so strong with them, if she gets a lead in the lane phase or picks up a few kills in a random fight, you know she's going to be a massive issue for the entire rest of the game. LeBlanc is a bit different. Like, so in games, I won't really ban her, but if I play against a LeBlanc main, then the next few games after that, I will ban her because it's just not fair. The champion can blow you up in half a second, and there's no way you're surviving that either. You know what? It's almost actually on them, on the LeBlanc player, to mess it up. You can't outplay it that much. There are so many different ways they can kill you. It's kind of like hoping that the LeBlanc is bad and just screws up her combo. I think it's also when you're good with her, there are quite a few different ways that she can get to you and kill you. Like, she doesn't have to use the standard single target stuff like that we had to revert back to. Like, she has so many different ways to kill you. It's just kind of hard to shut her down as well. Hard to gank her properly. She can jump away. In teamfights, she has her clone and can juke for days. It's not just the damage with the Blanc. She doesn't die that much either. There are so many different ways to show how good you are with the champion. Thresh actually makes a lot of sense in a video like this, considering when you main him, your hook hitbox actually upgrades to double the size. So even if it doesn't look like the hook is anywhere near the target, it's still going to hit. Obviously, that is not true, but Thresh mains just don't miss, and it makes playing against them so difficult. A good Thresh can win lane easily, right? There are a lot of ways you can outplay, but that carries on to later as well, where hooks can keep snowballing the rest of the game. Unlike a lot of other supports, actually, there are a few mechanic things as well, like hook predictions, flaying to stop jumps or dashes. Like, that alone, the flaying part is so broken. It's just very hard to do. The last part for me is that Thresh can kind of control the game, engage, pick, but he can also defend really well through good positioning. You can lantern away if you're in the right position, you can flay away, you can box. Every part of his kit can be used to help kill somebody or defend one of your teammates. Now let's jump into our last five. So Kassadin is probably one of the few champions that you won't feel too afraid of normally, because he's not a one-shot champion. He's not an early game assassin like a lot of these others. He's not that oppressive either. I guess he doesn't ruin you before you get a chance to play the game, right? But it's just a ticking time bomb. His late game is just so insane. That part is made worse when a good Kassadin can win his lane, but at least he's going to go even normally, and even that is bad for your team. When Kassadin gets a few early kills, it's close to done really, or at least going to be very hard. But even when he's 0 and 2 and not doing that well, if the game drags out a bit, he can still pop off and win. There is no real point in the game where you can relax versus Kassadin, honestly. He can roam well, he can nuke your backline, and he's still going to be a threat even if you camp him and shut him down. So Udyr is a lot like Charcot actually. He has stupid damage and he can split push if he wants to and be the most annoying champion in the game. That is a big part of it. A good Udyr one trick will not just be a good solo queue champion anyway, he will just make the game like irritating. Like, it won't be fun to play that game. He can kite in and out fights. He's a great duelist. He gets pretty tanky, but he still has a lot of damage, so he has a bit of everything. Udyr mains just like tend to run into fights. They normally kill somebody, but then they run around in circles, wasting more time, so his team can kind of mop up after. I think the big part with this one is like, he should demolish your jungler anyway. He should make the game very difficult on its own. He'll kill stuff, but he can also just split push at the end instead if that's not working, and it's very hard to stop him. So I actually think it's very obvious when a Fizz is a main. Like, when they're actually very good at the champion, they're hyper aggressive aggressive. Like they jump in and they one-shot somebody when you think you're safe. And that is the real difference between a bad and a good Fizz. He's extremely slippery anyway, so it's not going to be easy to shut him down, but he has a good amount of damage in between juking around. So it's like a bit of both. Give him a lead and he doesn't even need his ultimate to kill somebody anymore after the changes. And it's a proper full one-shot as well. There's not much time to react. I think that's the part that you want to be the most afraid of, really. He's a threat even without his ult, but with his ultimate, you're basically dead. After he's killed that person, you can't even trade back the kill either. You can't lock him down. Like normally when somebody is fed, you want to focus them very quickly, like a Zed, for example, but you just can't do that with Fizz. We don't see cinch that much anymore, to be honest, but a one trick is still nothing to mess with. First off, cinch always does way more damage than you think he's going to do. He can kill you just by running in and flipping you. There also isn't really a way to avoid that. Like if he ghosts and grounds you, you're getting flipped for sure. There's nothing you can do. The scariest cinch from me personally is one that plays normally and wins his lane, gets a lead, has damage, and then runs around with Righteous Glory or something and ghost, and you just can't get away from him, and he's a perfect engage. If that fails though, or you just want to do it a different way, they can proxy and split, right? And this is seriously irritating to play against because you don't really know how to beat it. Cinch mains have a knack for pissing people off and just playing the game how it's not meant to be played and still winning from it. Okay, so number 15, last one of the video, is Yasuo. It's not really in any order, to be honest, apart from the groups of 5, but saying that, there are a lot of Yasuo one tricks around, and half of them, maybe more than half of them, suck. You might not want to be afraid of Yasuo one tricks every single game, but versus a good one, you're going to have a very bad time. Yasuo can be notoriously garbage early game, but he can also actually be very good if you're good with the champion, and if he gets a lead, you are in trouble. He can play from behind very well, so having a lead is just really scary. Like great teamfight presence, big ultimate, wind wall to block key spells, and you do have really high damage. So that wraps up 15 one tricks that you should be most afraid of. Let me know what you think, who you would have added here as well if you were doing the video, but for now, I will leave you with the robots.